Hey everybody, Mr. Moriarty here. Going to make the answer key walkthrough thing for our study guide for Monday's quiz. I'm going to try to do it kind of quick. I know I'm a little bit long-winded, so I'm going to try to keep it very straightforward on this um, without going into too much detail as I normally do. So here we go. So on these first ones, number 1 through 3 on your quiz be 5 points each. Number 4 going to be 6 points each. What we are doing is solving each equation, showing all the algebraic steps, and here they are. Your first step is to always look for distribution. We don't have any distribution on the left side, so we want to bring that left side down. On the right side, we're going to take the 5 times the 1. 5 times 1x is 5x. And then take 5 times the negative 2 to get negative 10. There's no combining like terms here because there are no like terms on either side, so we'll move to the third step, which is get your variables on one side. What I would do is I would add 3x to both sides. You can also subtract the 5x, that is fine, but it will you'll get a negative coefficient, and I like using positives. Don't forget that your 34 is negative, so we'll bring down the negative 34. 5x plus 3x is 8x. Bring down the minus 10. From here, we have our variables on one side. We need to get our constants on the other. So I will add 10 to both sides. Make sure that you do this correctly and don't get negative 44. You should get negative 24 equals 8x. Last step is to divide both sides by 8, which is that coefficient in front of the variable, and you'll get negative 3 equals x. That's your first solution. All right, number 1. Number 2, start with the same steps. All right, start with the distribution. On number 2, the distribution is going to start with this negative 2. All right, so I'm going to bring 3x down, take negative 2 times 4.2. I want to make sure I'm doing it right, so I am actually using a calculator. So this is going to be a negative 8.4x, and then take that negative 2 times negative 1 to get negative 2. All right. Now this, it was kind of tricky in class today because folks said, what do we do with that negative? Is there a typo? Are we missing a number? No, that's on purpose, okay? Anytime that we need a number and don't have a number, use 1. Okay, I can't think of an instance where that is not going to be true, where you can't stick a 1 in there and it will not work. So we're going to use 1. So that makes this term negative 1 that we have to distribute. Negative 1 times 5.5x is negative 5.5x. Negative 1 times positive 1 gets me a negative 1. Your following step after we distribute here is going to be combine like terms. Now we do have like terms on the left side. We have negative 3x minus 8.4x. No, we have positive 3x. I'm sorry. Positive 3x minus 8.4x. So I'll punch that into a calculator and I will get negative 5.4x. Bring down the minus 2. There's no combining like terms on the right side, so just make sure you remember to bring that down. Now we have to get our variable terms on one side. I'm going to add 5.5x to both sides. Negative 5.4 plus 5.5 gets me 0.1x. Bring down the negative 2. And on the right side, bring down the negative 1. Don't forget that that is a negative 1 term. Now I have to get my constants on the other side, so I'll add 2 to both sides, get 0.1x equals negative 1 plus 2 is positive 1. All right, divide both sides by 0.1. And I'm kind of running out of room, so I'm going to move it to the right here. But when I take 1 divided by 0.1, I get 10. So I get x equals 10 for my solution of number 2. there's the first couple problems. Here's the third one. Start by looking for distribution. We don't have distribution here, but we do have some like terms. So your like terms here are going to be the positive 10/3 x and the positive 2/3 x. There's no like terms on the left side, but I am going to bring down that -2. When I take in a calculator 10/3 plus 2/3, it's going to get you 12/3, but if you use a calculator, it'll tell you exactly what it is, which is just a 4x. Okay, you can do it mentally because they do have the same denominator, but I would use a calculator because calculators always give you the simplest terms. All right, bring down that -10. So no distribution, just combine like terms. We have to get our variables on one side. Okay, still the same steps. So my variable terms are not on the same side. What I would do though, if I'm looking at this -10, that's a constant. So in my head, that's already going to be the constant side, which means the left side is going to be my variable side. So I'm going to subtract 4x here. Not that you can't add the 2x, but what you'll get if you add the 2x is you'll get a 0 on the left side of the equation. So I'm going to subtract this subtract this 4x. If I take -2 minus 4, I get -6x equals -10. All right, again, don't forget that is a -10. Last step here, divide both sides by -6. That's going to get you x is equal to negative divided by a negative is positive. 10 divided by 6. If you actually do 10 divided by 6, you'll get -1.6 repeating. But I want to put that into a fraction form. So it would be 10 over 6, which would be positive 5/3. Yes, checked on a calculator. All right. The 1.6 repeating is fine. I understand equivalencies, so it would be fine and acceptable. Number 4, last one of these particular problems. Look for distribution. We do have it. Taking this -5 times this -1 to get a positive 5x. Take -5 times -6 to get plus 30. There's no distribution on the right side, so I bring down the 1 minus 5x. Then what I'm going to do here is get my variable terms on the same side. I recognize that this is a -5x, so I'm going to add 5x on both sides. 5x plus 5x gets me a 10x. Bring down the plus 30. Bring down the 1 on the right side because these 5x's cancel. I'm going to subtract 30 now. On the left side, I have just the 10x. On the right side, I have 1 minus 30, which is -29. And then I'm going to divide both sides by the coefficient of 10. And I'm going to use a calculator on that. -29 divided by 10. So I got -2.9. So I would say -2.9, or that would be, you know what? I'm going to use -2.9 because I would be willing to bet that you guys did that. An improper fraction would be ugly, but it would be -29 tenths, of course. Either one of those is acceptable. Also -2 and 9 tenths. It's all acceptable as well. All right. So there's our first 4. Yeah, moving on. Number 5, reading the directions carefully here. So it says fill in an expression, which the expression is just this half. So it's basically finish this equation. Fill in an expression to create an equation with infinitely many solutions. So on here, infinitely many solutions, they've got to have the same variable term and the same constant term. Okay. Very simple. The infinitely many solutions is very simple. So look at the variable term on the left side of that equal sign. Copy it over. Negative 3x. Okay. The constant term is positive 12. So that will work. There are also a lot of other things that will work, which I don't want to get into them in this video. You could do negative 3 times the quantity x plus 4. That's fine. For the sake of this and simplicity, I'm just going to leave it there. Anytime you get infinitely many solutions, just make sure the left side and the right side are exactly the same. Keep it simple. All right. This next one, solve the equation. So we need to figure out which one of these is going to work. So all of these answers are solutions. You can guess if you want. What I would do is I would do what it says. I would just solve it. So we have 6x minus 9 equals 7x. There's no distribution. There's no combining like terms on the same side. So we need to get our variables on one side. This would be my constant side because that negative 9 is a constant. So I'm going to leave that negative 9 there, but I'm going to subtract 6x. When you take 7x, 7x minus 6x, you get 1x or just x. That is your solution. So what is the solution is, there it is, E. Okay, solution is negative 9. Quick little problem there, shouldn't be too bad. Backside. Oops, too far. This was one, I had a bunch of typos because I did not do this carefully. So I'm going to edit a few things here. So determine if the given equation has, I told everybody in class to scribble this out. And scribble that out, and you should have it reading no solutions. Okay, no solutions. That's what we want. That makes the rest of the problem make a little bit more sense here. So it says write true if the equation has no solutions, or false if the equation does not have no solutions. In this, because that wordiness is terrible, it makes me cringe. What you are trying to find is the equations that when you simplify them will give you no solution. Okay, that's what we're trying to find. So I'm going to do my work down here. It's not going to take a ton of work, but it is going to take some work. So negative 6x minus 6 equals negative 6 times the quantity of negative x minus 1. All right, so let's go ahead and simplify this. There's no like terms on the left, there's no distribution on the left side. There is on the right side though. We're going to take negative 6 times negative 1x to get a positive 6x. And then negative 6 times negative 1 to get positive 6. Okay. Now I can tell you in this step right here, because my coefficients there are different, you're going to end up with something that is not no solution. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and say this is already going to be false, but I'll prove it to you. So add 6x to both sides. Gets you negative 6 equals 12x plus 6. By the way, if you understand where I highlighted right there, if you understand that this is not going to be true, or like if you understand the solution type at that point, the rest of this work right here is not necessary. You'll only get that if you listen to this video instead of just looking at the answer key. So I'm going to divide both sides by 12. Negative 12 divided by positive 12 is negative 1 equals x. Okay, so that is the solution here. That is not a no solution. So I'm going to say in this one, this is going to be false. That does not give us no solution. All right, let's check out B. I'm kind of going random with all my things here. B is another one I told the later classes to do because I don't think the earlier classes understood or realized what they were looking at. But this, there should be an X right here. It's another typo. So earlier classes, sorry if you solved this and got a different answer. There should have been an X. That's my fault. I apologize. If you want to be mad at somebody, be mad at me. So I'm going to take 3 times negative 3x, as it should have been, equals negative 9x minus 81. Okay, so this is B. First step is always look for distribution. Okay, so we're taking 3 times negative 3x to get negative 9x, and then 3 times negative 9 to get negative 27. Bring the right side down. At this point, we have the same variable terms, so it's either going to be no solution or one solution. However, we have a negative 27 here, and we have a negative 81 here. Those are different, so this is a no solution equation. So B would be true. That does, when you simplify it, give you no solution, which is what we're looking for. It says, right, true if the equation has no solutions. All right, so there is that one. The third one, C, is going to be negative 8x minus 24 equals 24 minus 8x. Okay, so this one kind of, you also need to understand on this one kind of how to rearrange things. If we wanted to switch the 8x and the negative 24, you could do that. I'm going to take these as their terms. Okay, so you see me box these. I'm not going to combine them because I can't, because they're not like terms. But what you'll see when I box these terms is exactly what they are. So on the left side, we have negative 8x. On the right side, we have negative 8x. All right, so those are, and when I say sides, I'm talking about across the equal sign here. Those are the same variable terms. So since they are the same variable terms, it's either going to be no solution or it's going to be infinitely many solutions. On the left side of the equal sign, I have a negative 24. And on the right side of the equal sign, I have a positive 24. Those are two different constants. So just like the one above, this is also going to be no solution. So I would put for C that this is true. Okay. Yeah, there you go. 8, last one. Will the expression create an equation with one solution? One solution, meaning a variable. This is going to be sloppy. Equal to a number. So your variables will not disappear here. All right. What I would do is look at this equation before we look at A through F or whatever it is. Look at this equation. Can we simplify it? Yeah, we can. Okay. So I would distribute the 7 to the 2x to get 14x, and then the 7 to the negative 2 to get negative 14. Okay. So that can simplify, and that's going to help us because when I look at these choices here, I'll be able to determine when I simplify them what is going to give us one solution. Okay, in order for us to have one solution, you got to have different. In addition to this, what I want to do here. In addition to this, I'm going to put different variables on each side. Variable terms. on each side. Okay, and I'm gonna highlight that because I believe that's pretty important. I believe that's pretty important, and it's also easy to understand if you have that. All right. So for all of these, I'm going to simplify them if I can. So this first one you can distribute negative 7 times negative 2x. That'll get you a 14x. Negative 7 times negative 2 plus 14. Okay, so do we have different variable terms? We got the 14x and the 14x. That's the same variable term. That's not going to give us one solution, so that's going to be a no. Next one, we got negative 7 times negative 2 to get a positive 14x. Negative 7 times positive 2 to get minus 14. Do they have different variable terms? If I were to substitute them in there, and it's no, because 14x is the same as 14x. 0 for 2. This one we don't have to simplify. It's already 14x minus 14, but we've kind of established now that if we have a variable term of 14x, it's not going to work. So that one doesn't work. Next one also has a 14x, so that one's not going to work. Did we already set any of these up correctly? We'll see. 7 times negative 2x is negative 14x. 7 times 2 is going to be 14. Now, this one actually, looking at the comparing our variable terms, E has a variable term of negative 14, which is not positive 14. So that is different variable terms. So we could set this up and solve it, and yeah, we would get this as a one solution equation. Okay, by definition. I could show that if we have any questions, but I want to kind of wrap this video up here. So I'm going to go ahead and distribute these two. 7 times 2x is 14x. 7 times negative 2, negative 14. No, I didn't have it up top. Okay, that's fine. Again, though, the 14x is still the same on both sides, so no. That was a lot of work for not a lot of payoff, but oh well. So that is the study guide. If you have questions on this, bring them in Monday. Before the quiz, we can address a couple of them. Other than that, have a great weekend, and we will see you on Monday.